Natasha Gashnang had a huge crash at the end of the main straight there at Abu Dhabi, and she was pretty fortunate to escape with nothing worse than a broken leg. The good news is, she, as we saw earlier in the introduction, she is making a great recovery. But that car, they did have a standby driver, Rahel Frey, also from Switzerland, ready to take over from Natasha, but the team was unable to get that second car together and in one piece, ready to race this weekend. So it'll be just the one car from Ford GT and the Maytech competition team this weekend.
Yeah, we've got a nice in-car shot there of the Maserati. Got that little sort of aluminium sort of tubing you can see there. That's just a little bit for the driver cooling, because it can get quite hot in these cars, and that's just a little added benefit for the driver comfort. And then you see just below that, there's a lot of switches and buttons, which we have the ignition and the windscreen wipers and lights and everything else. So it's a nicely compact little space.
And that fabulous 6-litre V12 engine in that Maserati MC12 is a gorgeous machine. As we viewed there, that was of the cars coming down the hangar straight. This now coming through the revised club corner, and on the left-hand side of the screen as we're looking at now, or the right-hand side for the drivers as they come along here toward Abbey Curve, is where the new pit complex will be built in time for next year's British Grand Prix.
Yeah, and I think as you see that lovely black Lamborghini, I think it was this one actually, and you can see it was weaving on the straight prior to that, and the temperature's quite low. I think only about 10 degrees or so at the moment, so they've got to get some temperature into these tyres to be able to get the grip that they need to actually go as fast as they possibly can. So it will take, I think, a couple of laps to get that temperature in the tyres.
Yeah, I would say you're absolutely right there, and I think a lot of the teams, the new circuit here, a few people complained of it being bumpy, but I think the only real bumpy section of the track was the transition from the old track to the new track at Abbey Curve, where instead of going left before it now goes right, there's a little bit of a bump there, but I think the rest of that new section is pretty smooth, and the drivers were fairly happy there. There's some interesting curbing on that right-hander leading into the very tight left that leads onto the Wellington Straight. You certainly want to stay off that curb there, don't you, Johnny?
That was a big one, yes. It's quite a big curb on the inside. It's on the inside of a little sort of rumble strip shaped type of curb, but it should be okay, because the guys are not going to go over the top and hit that, because obviously it's going to jump quite high in the air, and then obviously you'll lose a bit of speed.
A couple of weeks ago, the number 5 Ford GT of Romain Grosjean was languishing at the bottom of the charts. He just made an improvement up into 13th place, which will be enough to get him through to the second round, but where he was languishing down there in 20th, that was not where that Maytech competition team expected that Ford GT to be. More improvements, look.
Yeah, well, I think it's something to expect. We've got a couple of people, obviously they're changing some tyres here on the Maserati, so you know, it's always going to be a big improvement. It's amazing how these fresh tyres do make sometimes two seconds difference. So it's going to be an important part. But again, you don't want to use too many, because the race is the most important part.
Mike Hazelman's here, a massive amount of experience also in these Corvettes, driving for the Phoenix Racing Car Sport team. Car number 14, currently shown 10th fastest overall, and new quickest time overall, however. Car number 8, Aston Martin. They struggled in the opening races in Abu Dhabi, but this weekend Stefan Muka is driving car number 8. He goes to the fastest time of the session of 59.6. Back here with the number 25, a Lamborghini, and he is down in 18th. So Josh Menton has got to make up some time if he wants to go through the key 2 in just a few minutes' time. 3 minutes to go in this session.
Yeah, we spoke a little bit to Thomas Eng yesterday as well, and he was explaining that the Aston is quite difficult at the moment, especially in the races, but what they do seem to be able to get out of it is one lap. But obviously one lap, great for qualifying, not so good in a long 1 hour race. So they've got a lot of work to do, but that is an improvement.
It is an improvement, and
big improvement.
Looking at the times now, we've got an Aston Martin at the top of Corvette second, Maserati's third and fourth. Then in fifth place, another Aston Martin, followed by the best of the Nissans. That's Michael Kroom in car number 23. That is the British-based car, of course. The brand new team this year, Sumo Power GT. That team didn't even exist Christmas time, in fact, and right after Christmas they began putting it all together, and it's a very good look on your operation, and Michael Kroom doing a fine job to get it now amongst the top 6. A slight improvement there last time around.
Yeah, and it's good to see that these these cars are really on it, because the track, as we said earlier on, looks very good, but these lap times they're doing are far quicker than what we saw yesterday. So it's good to see that the battle is starting already.
17th place is the knockout zone at the moment, and it's car number 4, Seiji Ara, who is the second of the Sumo Power cars. I beg your pardon, it's the Swiss racing team of Seiji Ara, who was 17th, now down to 18th, as car number 40, the Ford GT of Bas Lenders, improves to 17th place, but he's still shy of a qualifying position. On the bubble right now, the 16th place in the session will be Christophe Beauchou in the Lamborghini, the all-Inkel car number 37. He is on the bubble in 16th place, and just out of the top 16 at the moment will be Bas Lenders.
Yeah, we've got 1 minute of the session remaining. I don't think we've got actually anybody on the track at the moment. It's Beauchou. Yeah, he's in the pit, so he's finished. But we've got no greens, no pinks, and the pink is normally the fastest section that you get. A green is the driver's best. You get a sort of an orange colour, which is not very good at all. So we haven't got any of those at the moment. Just got one car.
Well, mind you, we're just saying, as we say that, there's a new purple sector there for car number 7. That is Darren Turner. He's got the fastest time in the opening sector, but he wasn't able to complete it for the lap, Johnny.
No, he didn't sort of get... We've seen this before, actually, sort of in the GT3s a little bit earlier on, that they could get the best out of it in the first section. And I think what seems to be a slight issue, there was a little bit of talk yesterday that the tyre degradation was quite high. And I think they might get the best out of it. It might really push them. Then they get a bit of understeer, and that just sort of generally gets a bit worse as the lap goes on.
He lost a lot of time in that final sector. He lost almost 3 seconds in that shortest of all the sectors, coming down the Wellington Straight and through that last sequence of corners. Losing 3 seconds there must have been some kind of a mistake, Johnny, mustn't it?
It could have definitely been a mistake, because his second sector was only about 2/10 off of the fastest of the session. Checkered flag goes out. So it was either, yes, a big mistake, possibly could have been in traffic. I very much doubt it was a tyre degradation to that amount.
And Christophe Beauchou in car number 37 just came across the line to complete the line. He is in 16th place. That will be good enough for car number 37. Here is Seiji Ara in the Nissan GT-R. What can he do on this final lap of qualifying? The first split does not look particularly good. Behind him, 19th at the moment, Jos Menton in the Lamborghini. His first split is a personal improvement. Can he keep it together?
Yeah, it's not a bad. He's going to jump up quite a way, so it's going to be interesting how he gets the second and the third sector. So a bit of pressure on him, but I think he's more than capable.
I think he got out around this lap before the checkered flag came out, but
exactly.
We're on board here with Seiji Ara coming through the final couple of corners onto the start-finish line. Across the line goes Seiji Ara. It is not good enough. It's a 2 minutes 2.6, so it's a full second away from the best time that he had done earlier on. It's awfully close there between the qualifiers and the non-qualifiers that will go through to the final group. Now coming down into Brooklands on the final lap is Jos Menton in the Lamborghini number 25.
Yeah, he's on it, second sector. He's best as well, so I think he's got a very good chance now. I don't think he's got any cars in front. Comes out of Luffield towards the start-finish, looking good. Let's see what he does across the line. Yeah, he moves up to 13th position.
Excellent job by Jos Menton. What a fine piece of work that was. He's new to the team this weekend, 28 years old, from Haaland in the Netherlands. A lot of everybody has gone faster today than anybody went yesterday. Here's a look at the overall times. It's Aston Martin at the top then, with Stefan Mucker, a 1:59.6, Corvette in second, then the two Maseratis, Johnny.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see how close it is, but I think this is where it's going to be a very interesting weekend. And
all the way down the order here. Let's go down to, we're trying to have a word in the pit lane, maybe we'll get down there in a moment, but the top 10 cars, as you can see, within 1 second, it's very, very closely packed, and I think that bodes extremely well for this afternoon's race. The defending GT1 champions, the European Series last year, Andrea Bertolini and Michael Bartels in car number 1, Best they can do, 7th place in this first qualifying session. And there you can see from 17th on downward will not make it through to the second round of qualifying this afternoon. And a couple of the Ford GTs in there, a Corvette, a Nissan and a Lamborghini at the back of the field. But look at that, just 1.8 seconds from first to 21st. And in 21st place there, the Swiss racing team Nissan, Karl Wendlinger. He has won this race, the Tourist Trophy at Silverstone. Those. I think the green flag is already out for Q2. Once again, a 15-minute session, and the top 8 from this group of 16 will go through to Q3 to set the grid positions for the first 4 rows of the grid, and then from 9th through 16th, the grid position will be set in this session right now.
So the drivers are obviously, there's a bit of pressure on these guys because obviously they'll want to do the best they can, but there's also the issue of these amount of tyres you've got, the 4 sets of tyres that you've got. So if you're smart, you don't want to use that many, but of course if you don't use them, you may be further down the grid, which makes the race more difficult. So I think the principle of this GT1 World Championship and doing all these small little changes to the strategy makes it very interesting, and I think it's something that will, when the race comes along, I think it will actually make it more interesting, because there's going to be a lot of sort of twist and make it more difficult for everybody, but better for us to watch.
Absolutely right, Johnny. And here we go, there's the first of the Corvettes out. The car sport. He has gone to the top of the charts. We're still on board with Michael Bartels, and his middle sector not quite as good as it was before, and he'll come across the line to complete another lap. He's dropped to 3rd place right now as the Lamborghini goes fast. It's Frank Ketchley, and into 2nd place goes Michael Bartels. So he's got a little bit of time to make up. Frank Ketchley, a magnificent effort. His GT1 debut for the Lamborghini team of Rd2 Engineering in car number 25 to the top of the charts at 159.8. Michael Bartels at 159.9, and there into 3rd place is car number 10. That's is the Aston Martin, the Hexis Aston Martin of Jonathan Hirschi from Switzerland. But also on a fast lap now is Christopher Nygaard, the Dane. He's already been out this morning in the GT3 race, and he is on a quick lap right now in car number 8, the Aston Martin.
Yeah, we have the number 1 car as well. He's doing a quick one. Bertolini, Andrea, doing the fastest first sector. So again, showing that their raw speed is there, and I think it's turning out very, very tight, and I think that's going to make it very interesting. There's been a lot of talk about how they do this balancing of the cars, but it seems to be working out very well, the balancing of performance of the cars, and it's something that for GT1, the World Championship, I think it's something that's going to make it a very interesting season.
Absolutely right. We've got a Lamborghini fastest at the moment, a Maserati 2nd, an Aston Martin 3rd, a Nissan 4th, and then an Aston Martin's also in 5th and 6th. There's Thomas Ackery there, also making his debut in the championship, goes 5th fastest and sets a new purple sector in sector 1, the first portion of the track, fastest of all for car number 9. Once again, we're on board again here with Michael Bartels, and that 2nd sector, once again, Johnny, he's lost a little bit of time. He was fastest of all in the 1st sector until he was usurped by Thomas Ackery in car number 9, the Aston Martin. But again, that 2nd sector seems to be a bit of a problem for the Maserati.
Yeah, that seems to be where more of the slower speed corners are, especially that new arena section. So it seems to be that's where obviously it struggles that little bit more, but something they possibly can work on before the race comes, and maybe before that.
Here comes Thomas Ackery on a quick lap in the Hexis Aston Martin. He's done a fine job as Thomas. He's a fair amount of experience in GT3, but now making his debut in the GT1 cars. He's 22 years old from Annecy in France, and to get up amongst the top 5 in this sort of competition is a fine effort. Look at a fine effort. Look at that, a new fastest time, a 159.7 for car number 10. That is the 2nd of the Hexis Aston Martins. Young Jonathan Hirschi, 24 years of old, from Switzerland, Neuchâtel in Switzerland, and he goes to the top of the chart. So these 2 Hexis Aston Martins, numbers 9 and 10, both running extremely well.
No, they are, and I think it's like I mentioned earlier on about Thomas Eng. He seems to think that they can get this one lap out of it, which they certainly are showing that form.
And here is Jonathan Hershey, and his father Pierre is driving in the GT3 race this weekend, driving one of the Audi R8 LMS cars, but it's the focus now is on the son, Jonathan, and the father and son have both come up through the Renault Megane Euro Cup Series, and young Jonathan is really come on leaps and bounds. He's taken to this GT1 car very, very quickly indeed, and to get to the fastest time in this company this early in his GT1 career is quite remarkable. He's one of the Rd2 engineering cars into the pit lane.
And they seem to have done their work.
Done their bit, haven't they? That's kind of a 25.
Yep.
So they are standing. That's Frank Petchley, and again a magnificent effort for him. It still stands as the second fastest in this group. I think there's enough of confidence there. They can come in and park the car and get it ready for the third and final session of qualifying.
Yeah, I think they should be okay. We've only got, what, 2.5 minutes to go of this session, but we've still got a few guys out there that it's very, very, very close. So there's, I think it should be okay.
There's the number 2 Vitaphone Maserati, Miguel Ramos at the wheel. He's won a couple of races in GT1 over the years, but now languishing 13th fastest in this session. Only the top 8 will go through. On the bubble right now is Thomas Enger in the Aston Martin, young driver number 7. And out of the top 8, first of them is Anthony Kumpen in the Chevrolet. In fact, the Chevrolets of Anthony Kumpen and Mark Henrici currently 9th and 10th, and not quite fast enough at the moment to get through to the next round. However, both of those two are out on the track right now and have set their personal bests in Sector 1.
Yeah, this seems to be the way. Even there, we're still following Bert, and I think Bert's going to be, this will be his last flying lap. So obviously this is where he's going to try and pull it out of the bag.
There is Mark Henrici, and he had a magnificent first round of the championship with Andreas Zuber. They were on the podium, and they're looking to go even better this weekend. He's done a fine job so far. He's on a quicker lap now, but can he hold it together? It was a personal best sector time for Mark Henrici in both the first and the second sectors, but still a little bit away from being able to make it, I think, into the top 8. So he's got to squeeze a little bit more time, a little bit more pace in this final sector of the lap, Johnny.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to get his best final sector, I think, to give himself any chance of moving up.
Here he comes across the line. And it is an improvement from Mark Henrici, but it's only 9th place for car number 13, that Corvette. It's close, but no cigar. The best lap was a 2 minutes 0.5, but he's got to find about another, not even a 1/10 of a second to usurp Darren Turner, or Thomas Enger, who's driving now in car number 7, the Aston Martin. So right now we've got at the top, it's Aston Martin, then Lamborghini, then Maserati, then Nissan, then Lamborghini again, and then 3 Aston Martins to round out the top 8, and the two Corvettes of Henrici and Kumpen just on the outside looking in.
Yeah, we've got that. We're coming up to the checkered flag is going out. So the guys on their lap, this will be their final lap, and this is where the pressure's on, because they've probably done their best lap time thus far, but now they've got to improve on that to give themselves a chance of going through. And we've got the number 13, who's got a chance. He's got his best first sector time.
Yes, that's Mark Henrici again. Yeah. There is an improvement there. He's got to find just all 1/10 of a second over 3.6 miles. He's always got to find 1/10 of a second over 3.6 miles. That's about 10 feet. He's always got to improve by, if you like, make the lap 10 feet shorter, and he will be through into the final round of qualifying. The big surprise for me, though, is the winner at Abu Dhabi, the Ford GT number 5, Thomas Mutsch at the wheel, currently 15th out of 16 cars. His best lap, a 2:02.1, so a couple of seconds away from the competitive times to get through into the final 8. I don't think that's going to happen for Thomas Mutsch, but can it for Mark Henrici?
Yeah, it's been quite funny there, the GT40. We just haven't seen that speed this weekend at all, really.
No, we didn't see it at all yesterday's time, but looking at the split timers yesterday, there was a quick lap if you put it all together. There goes across the line, Henrici, 8th fastest, so Nygaard is out, and where is the Thomas Enger also improved dramatically. He was on the bubble there in 8th place. He has moved himself up to 5th in the Nissan. So that's a great lap by Thomas Enger. He is now 5th bar, so Nissan's 4th and 5th in this second qualifying session.
And I think that's Campbell Ward. Is that Campbell Walter, 22?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not.
It is. It's Jamie Campbell Walter, the second quickest.
It is, yeah.
Fantastic job.
Brilliant, absolutely. That came out of nowhere. Absolutely nowhere.
Brand new team. Christmas, it wasn't even thought of. Right now, the standings after that second group. First of all, Aston Martin, Jonathan Hirschi, 1 minute 59.7. The youngster from Switzerland in second place. Jamie Campbell Walter for Nissan. Third place, Frank Ketchley for Lamborghini. Fourth, Michael Bartels for Maserati. Peter Dumbreck for Nissan. Thomas Enger for Aston Martin. Christopher Haas for Lamborghini. Thomas Ackery for Aston Martin. Then the Corvette of Mark Henry, just outside the top 8. Christopher Nygaard for Aston Martin. Anthony Kumpen for Corvette, and Bert Longin for Maserati. Neither of those guys will go through to the final round. Also out in this second round of qualifying, the number 2 Maserati of Miguel Ramos, the number 33 Maserati of Alfred Hager, also Thomas Mutch, that Ford GT, and Kuzmanian.
Those were not lasting very long, because obviously the car is very heavy on the tyres, but of course they've come here to Silverstone, much cooler conditions. They don't seem to have such a big issue with the tyres, and they're actually more competitive here. So I think it's, again, this is where the motorsport side of things is very interesting, because it can be swings and roundabouts. Some cars will be good in Abu Dhabi, as we saw. Some cars will be good here at Silverstone, and that will probably go on through the year. So it will just make it fascinating to see exactly, at the end of the year, who's utilised it the best.
So here we are now in Q3. This is the final session of qualifying, just 10 minutes. And it's now the original drivers back behind the wheel of these final 8 cars that will make up the front 4 rows of the grid in this afternoon's qualifying race, a 1-hour qualifying race that will take place this afternoon at 5:15. And we've got these just 8 cars, just 10 minutes. That's not a lot of time. They only have time for 4 or maybe 5 laps at the most to set that time and try and get themselves on that coveted pole position.
Yeah, and it's going to be very important, obviously, to get a clear run. What's interesting here, you've got the 2 Lamborghinis running together. The car behind, in some respects, is possibly going to benefit more because of the way this circuit is with the long straights that we have. He can slipstream the car, he can gain more speed down the straights, which is like free time. But if he gets a bit too close, obviously then he was going to find it more difficult because he's going to start being held up. So he's, as you can see now on the screen, he's getting probably a bit too close because he's going to lose out. He looks quicker, but he's not going to be able to pass that car because he is on a qualifying lap as well.
With that big rear wing on a car, it creates kind of a low pressure area behind the car, and as you say, you talk about the slipstream. If you're following the other car, you get sucked in that low pressure area and you pick up straight line speed, but as you say, you've got to be careful you don't hold up the other car through the corners. These are teammates working together, the 2 Lamborghinis. We also saw the 2 Maseratis working together. There's a pass. That is car number 25, that is Josh Menton, who gets past Peter Cox there, car number 25 and 24 respectively. So the final qualifying drivers for Maserati, we have Andrea Bertolini. For Aston Martin, we have Frederick Makovecki and Jonathan Hirschi. For Nissan, we have Warren Hughes and Michael Krum. And for Lamborghini, we have Peter Cox and Josh Menton.
Yeah, and it's obviously for Peter Cox, he had to let him go because he was getting a bit too close to him. So he's actually lost out because he's not going to get that slipstream that he was probably trying to get. His teammate has hopefully been able to utilise that. So far, he's got the fastest second sector. Very early days yet, but that slipstream probably he benefited from for sure. So it's down to really the other guys even trying to work out a way of utilising the other teams and the other manufacturers' slipstreaming capabilities to improve on their tyres.
Using all the road there at the exit of Cox Corner. Copse Corner was Peter Cox. Good grief, Cops and Coxes. It's awfully difficult to keep a track here. But there comes across the line is the number one. It's Andrea Bertolini now back at the wheel of the Vitaphone Maserati. He is on a hot lap. Across the line he goes fastest for car number one, Andrea Bertolini. 2 minutes, .036. That eclipses the 2 minutes 01.9 of Jess Monton by almost 2 seconds. A great lap by Andrea Bertolini. And it's now a straight fight between Maserati and Aston Martin and Nissan and Lamborghini in this final session.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating, because I think it's going to be such a close battle. This we saw, I think, in the previous session about the top five. There was only half a second difference, so it's very, very tight.
Second fastest for Warren Hughes in the Nissan number 22. Here is. It's in the Aston Martin. It's Jonathan Hirschi, the young Swiss, goes, the number 9, his teammate Frederick Makowiecki goes fastest. The first man below 2 minutes in this final session. There he is, Fred Makowiecki in car number 9 to the top of the charts, a 1:59.2. So almost a full second quicker than the Maserati at this stage.
Absolutely, which is quite a surprise. But again, it will be down to who's using what tyres, and that was going to be the thing. For a second difference, that's quite a big chunk. I'm quite surprised that it's as big as that. We have to see. It's very early. We've still got 3.5 minutes of this session to go, so it's not over by far. Massive 3.5, yes.
There's only time for two laps on this track, isn't it?
Yep.
Less than 2 laps. So they've got this lap now, Johnny, and one more lap to go. The pressure is on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it all depends where you go across that line, at what time you go across that line, if you do get that second lap. So it's quite a difficult thing for the driver to do, because obviously when he goes out, he's on track. So it's down to sometimes the team working it out to get that, utilise that time.
That's exactly right. The key is to try and get your car to be the last across the start finish line before the checkered flag comes out. There's more rubber laid down than for anybody else, and you've got the final opportunity to set that fast time. We see it in Formula One in qualifying, always that battle to be last on the track. Darren Turner in car number 7, the Aston Martin, he has been very late to go out. He's the last car out on the track. He is going to go for a 1-lap flyer, isn't he? He's going to have one warm-up lap and then 1 lap only to set a qualifying time.
That's a typical inexperienced driver thinking how to utilise everything, and that's exactly what he's doing.
That's Jamie Campbell-Walter in the middle of the screen. Thanks, Jamie. Nice little smile. Yeah, and he did a magnificent job in the first group, and Darren Turner is really on it. He goes purple in Sector 1.
Yeah, and Darren obviously has done so much with Aston Martins over the year. Obviously a win, 2 wins, I think, at Le Mans. Second sector there, a 1 minute 1. I'm not quite sure if that's his best sector. I don't think it's the overall best sector.
It's his first lap, but it's certainly a pretty quick middle sector. And here he comes now through the final couple of corners, through Woodcote to complete the lap. Is actually the Nissan, and right behind him is the Aston Martin. Darren Turner goes second fastest, car number 7. The Aston Martin second fastest, 1:59.5. So it's still Fred Makowiecki in the other Aston Martin, the Hexis AMR team, who is quickest in car number 9 with a 1 minute 59.2. Darren Turner for the young driver AMR team, second of the Aston Martins at 59.5. Third quickest, Andrea Bertolini for Maserati, a 1:59.7.
Yeah, and we've only got 1 minute to go. So this is where everybody, they're going to be wringing as much as they can out of the neck of those. So we see Andrea there, a little bit of he's fighting this car. It doesn't seem very good there at all. It doesn't seem to be a very, let's say, neat lap. No, it's sector 2. It's very slow. So he's going to try, and how long we got? He might, yes, he's going to do. This will be his last lap. I don't think he entered from Luffield very well, but this is his last opportunity.
Even with that car sliding around, the lap was a 1:59.8, so only a tenth of a second slower than his previous best time. So it was a pretty good lap there for Andrea Bertolini. If you can put a tidy lap together, generally speaking, if you're on board these cars and watching, if the cars are going sideways, they're not going as fast as they should be.
No, absolutely not. And then Andrea, as we said, Andrea has been very experienced in these cars. Darren Turner, as we look at the screen, once again, the first split, fastest of everybody. So he's really on it. We've got him now
He's
in
following
the
there.
background.
Yeah, we've got Michael Krum here in the foreground in the Nissan, and looming in his mirrors the Aston Martin of Darren Turner. There is the second sector time for Michael Krum. It's a good one, 1 minute 1.1, but 4/10 quicker in his mirrors on that sector is Darren Turner. They're coming now out of Luffield to complete their lap. The checkered flag is out. Across the line goes the Nissan, and it is an improvement, second fastest for Michael Krum, but there goes Darren Turner, a 1 minute 58.8, the pole position perhaps for car number 7 and Aston Martin.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think, Darren is one of those drivers, very, very unlucky. He's only got to do the GT racing. I think he was definitely a driver that probably had a good chance to get into Formula 1. Never did, but he's utilising the career he's got in GT1 racing.
You're right. Former winner of the McLaren Autosport BRDC award, which is often a stepping stone to greatness. And yes, Darren Turner didn't make it to greatness in Formula 1 like someone like you, Johnny Herbert, but he's made his career in GT cars and sport cars, and he's from Banbury in Oxfordshire, just 20 minutes away from here at Silverstone. So that's a major thrill for Darren Turner and a magnificent effort for that young driver AMR team.
Yeah, well, I think that's it, I would say. So I think it's going to be interesting now, because obviously pole position for Darren Turner, I think it's a very important one for Aston Martin. They didn't have a very good Abu Dhabi race. This is a very good way of coming back.
He completed only 3 laps in this final session, fewer than anybody else. Everybody else did either 4 or 5 laps, but Darren Turner made those 3 laps count. And it will be him and Aston Martin that will start on the pole for today's qualifying race. And here is the rundown there. Aston Martin out the front with Darren Turner, 158.8. Aston Martin second, Nissan third, Maserati, Nissan, Aston Martin in 6th place. It was Freddie Makowecki who was second fastest for Aston Martin. Michael Krum for Nissan in third. The Maserati in 4th place. Andrea Bertolini, the former factory driver. Warren Hughes, an excellent effort again for Nissan. So 2 Nissans in the top 5. Jonathan Hirschi for Aston Martin 6th, and the 2 Lamborghinis of Joss Menton and Peter Cox will round out the top 8, the front 4 rows of the grid for what is going to be a thrilling race.